We'll be back from the break. You're still watching Smartman's Business. I'm Barija. This morning it's exactly 2 minutes past 9, and of course, like I told you, we have our business insight into the pipeline. And this time around, it being the budget week, of course, the budget month above all, which is going to be officially read out tomorrow. We've always been tackling sectors all the way since we started this month. Different sectors. If you've been really following our different programmings regarding, most especially into the morning show. Well, today we decided to dedicate that to health, to education rather, seeing the allocations, the amount of money that was added. We want to understand whether what was allocated is really enough and it's going to be sufficient enough to enable the schools, and of course the stakeholders, to achieve the intended goals. But before we get there, the markets on the Zabo platform have already opened as I speak right now. Now you could be asking yourself, what should I do to be a part of this? Well, it's very simple. Star 292 hash is the USSD code for you there, where you'll be available with a number of options. You can choose to buy government bonds and securities for just as little as 15,000 Ugandan shillings. Now the markets are open effective Monday up to Friday, 8:15 a.m. till 3:15 p.m. East African time, Monday up to Friday, except from the weekends and the public holidays where you can access these markets. But well, despite all that, you have the rest of the 5 days to capitalize. And this week there is no public holiday. Definitely, you have an entire week to make money for yourself with the Zabo platform, owning government bonds and securities. There is no excuse, not at all. No paperwork involved here. All you need is your mobile phone and dial star 292 hash. Zabo made this a reality. Now Zabo simply says buy money, my future, and Altex East Africa tells you to do something new for yourself in the year 2023. Well, right about now, as we head into our discussion in relation to education, of course, the funds allocated for the education budget, I'm joined right now with Honorable Kamara Nicholas, that is from Kabale Municipality, and we're going to be breaking down these discussions in relation to the education budget allocated funds. Very good morning, Honorable. And I'm glad to have you on this morning show.
Yeah, good morning to you, and I'm happy to be here on
Smart 24
TV.
Yes, sir.
And good morning, viewers.
Well, very interesting. Now we are talking about the education. Funds allocated. I know you were very serious on this for the education allocations, whereby you appealed to the Minister of Finance to add the funds that that were supposed to be added. But according to your observation, Honorable, do you really think even that increment you appeal to the Ministry of Finance will be viable to enable to fund the activities of the education institutes in this financial year 2023-2024? Is it enough for them?
Yeah, thank you so much for your question. But from the outset, I want to state that education, as you know, it is a fundamental human right.
Very true.
Another thing is that definitely you can imagine a life. You can't imagine life without education.
Education,
as a right, and we are mandated by Sustainable Development Goals, especially Sustainable Development Goal number 4.
Okay.
To have quality and equitable education. But the whole agenda driving the SDG goals is leave no one behind.
Leave no one behind.
And to me, I take that word very, very seriously. It is hidden in so many words inside there. Leave no one behind. But this is what everyone should take very seriously, either in health or education, but especially in social services. Leave no one behind should be very important, because when we are bringing these services, and we've had in health people saying, "Oh, interns, those who can say go."
Yes, exactly.
But those are not the people we want to serve. Okay, those ones can pay, they can even go to Canada or USA, but the people we want to serve are the ones who cannot afford, who cannot afford, who cannot pay for themselves, who would otherwise not have acquired an education had they not been
helped. Sure.
So the question you are asking about whether the money is enough, the money has not been enough, and I don't think it will be enough now.
Okay.
We are spending less than 3% of our GDP in education. And this is the list.
The list.
From what I gather, this is the list in whole of East Africa.
Okay.
when you look at the capitation grant that the government is giving primary schools, the capitation grant per student or per pupil is 12,000 per year. 12,000 per year.
Yes.
Another thing is that 12,000 per year, because it is not enough. When I was checking around, how much, what do students spend on, apart from, because that capitation grant is so small. Do UPE schools, and that's what I'm going to be emphasizing, because for me, I'm worried about the person who should not be left behind.
Should be exactly.
Because the Namugongos, the Tsuvis, the Extenders, by the time you go there, really, and you pay 2 million, then you get 1 million to shop, then you go on visiting day, you get the pocket money of 300. You are not very bad off. The people we are worried really are these people whom we serve as leaders. Of course, we also serve the people in Extended, but we are not worried so much about them.
Of course,
what we are worried about are the people we should bring up.
Exactly.
Now, the people in primary schools and secondary schools spend on other things. One of the things they spend on actually, which looks obvious, is registration fees.
Registration fees.
Can you imagine even UNEB still charges the poorest child in Uganda to pay registration fees when they always sit an exam?
Absolutely.
Even if you are coming from which school, UPS, you must pay that money. And it can be as high as 200,000.
Absolutely.
Another thing where the students are paying boarding fees. Government is not catering for boarding fees. When you say USE, they assume that it's supposed to be a day school.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Another thing where they are spending feeding. The capitation grant is just for buying chalk. It's
so just about
for buying tea. Yeah. UPE and USE, all of them. But even in fact, what I'm talking about is UPE and USE schools. They spend on registration, they spend on boarding fees, they spend on examination fees, because you cannot sit an exam using the ground.
Definitely.
You must buy paper, you must print, you must pay people who are going to mark. They pay feeding fees. And an average actually in Uganda, when it was calculated, in rural schools, I think it was 40,000 per student, per household. Actually 400,000. And in urban households, it went up to 400,000 in primary school and 1 million in secondary schools. So you can imagine what I wanted to give you a background.
I can see the expenditure.
If in USE schools, let us say urban, a household is spending up to 1 million more in tuition. Just tuition without saying registration. I just picked one thing, food. I don't think the budget that has been given now will cater for the education. Now, to make matters worse, they have made, I have a general picture about what the new curriculum is about. The general picture I have is that we intended to move from theoretical-based education to practical-based education.
True.
And what does this require? Let me give you an example. If you go and you want to teach sewing, for example, you must buy a sewing machine.
That's, of course, yeah.
Sewing machine, if it is used by 10 students per day, it must break down. You must repair it. You must get someone to teach sewing, because the teachers we have in secondary schools, even in primary schools,
majority don't have these skills actually.
They didn't learn sewing.
They didn't. Yeah.
So you get someone who studied sewing and add them on your on your staff list,
on your payroll,
and even on your payroll. But that is only one skill.
Okay.
Sewing. What if we wanted now to teach bricklaying, We wanted to teach carpentry.
Carpentry.
We want to art.
Related.
All that needs human resource, needs more resources in the form of materials. I have a friend, Father Mpora. He started a vocational school in Kamara. It's called St. Conrad. He had started this long time ago.
Okay.
What he does is that you study from senior 1 and you start practicals.
From all
at senior 3,
okay.
If you want to divert and do practicals and leave this UNEB-based curriculum, you are free. You could also continue with UNEB and still be practical. So he has started it long time ago. Okay. But he was lucky to be there when he was opening, 10 years ago. And he told me it is very expensive. Good thing he got donors who put in some money. And for him, it was his idea from inception. So he put staff, he put what? He started agricultural fields such that people can get used. It was his, but to impart an idea now in a school which has been theory-based, first of all, it is very expensive. It is very inconveniencing.
Absolutely.
The students will be confused, and no wonder it has been put halt. As far as I know, so far the education ministry has said they are not ready
for the new curriculum.
This year. They are not ready for this curriculum, and it may not start.
Well, that's a very interesting aspect. But you know, Honorable, I believe we may say that we are not ready, but there ought to be a time when it has to start. And what does it take for us to get ready? What is that process that needs to be done to make us ready, to prepare us for this? Because if we hold it on and 5 years pass, we are not ready, 10 years, we are not ready, then where are we heading as a country?
As a country, we need definitely planning. And you see sometimes we are caught off guard.
Okay.
Of course, definitely by the time they put it at the forefront, they have been talking about it. I'm sure the National Curriculum Development Center has been talking about it.
Okay.
But to me, I think it should be introduced gradually. Gradually. Starting with maybe the senior ones who will come next year. For this year, we can recruit teachers in all the schools. Okay. And then we start training teachers. It's not a matter of running, then you just fall and it collapse. So, in my view, if I was to advise the Ministry of Education, I would start with the teachers.
Recruiting teachers.
Small, I would start with like 4 skills or 5 for all this across board. Not say, we have 18 skills, which then as we go on, we can introduce others. You say, for minimum, let us have 2. Maximum, let us have 5. For now. So agriculture, sewing, carpentry, woodwork, maybe another thing. I'm just thinking randomly. But you could pick 5 and say minimum. We have 2. Once we have 2, you can start. Okay. And there's no problem. So that they can be equity throughout the whole country. For people who can afford those schools which have low incomes. Not all schools have the same income.
That is true.
Yeah, even if they are USE. The USE in Kamara municipality is not the same as USE in Ndorwa East. Because for even me, I'm from town.
Okay, yeah.
I represent people in town. People of town have some little bit of some income.
Okay.
So I can give you an example. When we were in a Nyoga, there were over 30 circles. The money was put on the accounts. All the circles in the Kamara municipality used their money. They had withdrawn it. When we checked other constituencies in the Kamara district, most of them had not withdrawn. Why? They had nothing to use the money for. They don't have business. They are just scared of money. So that is that's what I'm trying to say, that even within a district, the money exchange, the income is not the same.
It's not, okay.
Therefore, you must now provide for all the schools. You must provide for all the schools in the district, such that you can start small. Once you have started with those 5 skills.
Skills, yes.
Then you start also training the teachers. And make sure a teacher he knows at least 2 skills. The one of carpentry can also be,
of course, the teacher into woodwork.
Woodwork, yeah. The one of agriculture maybe can be also be formatted to do so. So at least you have 2 or 3 teachers who are multi-purpose.
Multi-purpose.
So once you have those teachers, then you can start. But now it's to wake up and say, beginning next year, we are starting. It is going to cause us trouble. Planning, I'm just giving an overview of what I think. But the most important thing, it needs a lot of planning. It is a very good thing. And this is what I wanted to talk about also about education, maybe later in the program, about our education, which is completely not in tandem with the times.
Actually, I wanted also to ask you something in relation to that. You know, for so long, our education system as Uganda has been benchmarked, you know, whereby we used to have people from Kenya studying from here, whereby it was recognized when we in our mighty institute, Makerere University, people of Rwanda used to benchmark in that. But you see, with the current aspects that have been happening all over the media, I'm trying to understand what is the image now the rest of the East Africa has towards Uganda's education. Can we still take pride in this education system? Because you said it's not in line with the times.
Yeah.
That is true.
When it comes to theory, theory-based education,
we are the best.
I think we still have a very good position, even in Africa, because really I'm a little bit exposed. I've studied courses, and Ugandans, I have friends who have done courses. I don't think Ugandans have struggled. If you leave our education system and you have finished your senior 6 even university anywhere in Uganda here, you go to UK to do masters, you go to what, and they say you write a report, you do.
It's very easy.
Really, our theory is not yet bad, and we are still respected even in the region because of our education. However, practically,
now that's one
and the productivity and the keeping up with the times. Don't know whether I'm putting it in right words. I'm not an educationist. I think we are lacking. Let me give you an example. I worked in Swaziland for 3 years. And there I met Congolese doctors.
Congolese doctors in Swaziland?
Yeah. Congolese doctors, by the time you finish medical school, you know how to use a scan.
Okay.
Yes, you know how to use a scan. In fact, if you're a gynecologist, you are the best scanner.
Okay.
You know how to use an ECG, very ECG for the heart. You know how to use an echo. In short, these words are very complicated probably for you.
Of course, those are medical terms.
But these are medical terms. But the point I'm trying to bring forward is that I found these Congolese gynecologists. Theoretically, when we started talking and writing and taking history, examining, we were at par. But when it came to practice, I started admiring these Congolese doctors.
With ease and comfort.
Yes, I said they were very good in scan. But here, when you want to do a scan, you're a gynecologist, you first look for one of the radiology they do. Then you want to do an echo, so you send to a radiologist. I may have a physician. But I'm not very comfortable with echo. I can interpret it, I can do some basic things. But those people, they were very practical. Now, another aspect, we're doing dialysis in our hospitals. And who was doing dialysis? It is my medical officers.
Okay.
Look here, I've left Uganda, I'm a consultant. I'm supervising these young doctors, and they are the ones doing dialysis, and I have no idea even how to put on a machine.
Wow. Interesting.
I have to look for a physician to do it. But these things were being, and that's why I've been insisting to my colleagues in medical school. Demystify these things. They are not heavy, they are not hard. Let us start teaching our medical students echo. Let us teach them doing a scan. Let us teach them how to do dialysis. We are never going to have enough renal doctors in Uganda.
Okay.
So with the times, even with medical education, Theoretically, we are very nice. You can state how many causes and
So
what is the cause of this, what is the pathophysiology behind. But when it comes practical, I think even in medical training, which is actually among the best still in Africa, we are still lagging behind. And it goes with us when you are doing old habits die hard.
Of course,
if you don't do it when you are young, like now teaching, okay, you can run it, but I cannot run it as a person who learned it in the first year without 5 years.
Absolutely.
And this is just one example I'm giving. I think you really know that. For example, how many in Rwanda I heard that most of the pupils, for example, exposed to computers, they even have tablets.
They do, and we're just adopting the trend just of lately.
Yeah.
But you know, as Uganda, we always get on the train when the rest of the people have already gone. Even Kenya, they have a very well established when it comes to, access to computers. Students have access to these computers at a very tender age.
Yeah.
No wonder, I'm not surprised they have a Google Office. That's why their innovations, it's easy for them to pitch to get to that higher level.
Yeah.
But why? There is a strong foundation of IT education.
Yeah. So how many of our students who, with your computational grant of 12,000, are exposed to computers now, for example?
Honestly, we are just adapting
so
the trend.
we are lucky, we find a computer or two in private schools, but our USC and UP schools, that's why people are running. But even then, even if you come to university, the trending thing is now artificial intelligence.
Now, artificial intelligence is becoming another.
It is there. Big data, artificial intelligence. What do I know? Apart from getting papers and writing, should we even be writing now anyway? So writing and
you see
rote thinking and remembering and memory, memorize right. It's nice. So theoretically, we're not doing very badly. But I think we are behind the times in many aspects.
And
we are not practical. And by the way, Ugandans, they say we are not productive. I don't want to believe that. That the Ugandans naturally are not. 100 years ago, I think maybe 150, I think I read this article 100 years, about 10 years ago. They were saying 100 years ago, the British went to Japan. And they said the Japanese are too lazy. They cannot do anything for themselves. They don't keep time. But as you know now in Japan, if you are late by 1 minute for the train, it leaves you. So when I was leading hospital, people used to complain, oh, the new nurses, they're not working, they don't know anything. I said, but you've been here for 20 years. Do you expect a nurse who has come yesterday to be like you are?
It can't be.
And all the time we used to be in meetings and say we are going to induct these people. Did we even ever induct? They get lost in the work. So there are people who induct, and those people who induct, if a Ugandan was picked now from here and put in a hotel, in a 5-star hotel in Kenya, and were inducted, and continuous mentoring. Within 1 month, the Ugandan would think she's a Kenyan.
She's a Kenyan. Absolutely.
So I don't believe in this thing. Say, oh, Ugandans are lazy. Okay, they could be lazy, but why? There must be reasons behind. And one of them is mentoring, induction, training, continuous, and even the environment and motivation. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Honorable. It's 5 minutes to 9:30, and right about now, of course, we've been breaking down the education sector, how it's operating, but of course, from the general perspective in there. But now let's get into the break. But before that, the markets on the Zabo platform are already operating. Start tonight, 2# is the USSD code for you there, and you'll be available with a number of options to buy government bonds as securities for just as little as 15,000 Ugandan shillings. The markets open at 8:15 a.m. closing at 3:15 p.m. and the cycle is repetitive Monday up to Friday, except on the weekends and the public holidays when you can access these markets. But at least despite that, you have the rest of the 5 days to make some money for yourself. For this week, There is no public holiday, so you have it all to make money for yourself. Now, Zabu simply says, my money, my future, and the Text East Africa says, do something new. And now let's get into the break. And of course, we shall be returning with Honorable Kamara Nicholas from Kabale Municipality as we break down the education sector further.